Alright guys, so this is a Tuesday video, so we're picking up of life during the Great Depression. So remember we talked about that Hoover already was not a super popular president with the people, okay? So we talked about his policy of rugged individualism. We talked about the Smoot-Hawley tariff. And then we're going to see another incident known as the Bonus Army Incident. Okay, so we have a large group of World War I veterans. Okay, and they were promised a financial bonus, and they would receive that bonus in 1945. Okay, this is taking place in 1932, and their justification is they need that money now. They fought for their country. Surely Hoover will give them the money now. So these veterans and some of their families go to Washington and literally kind of camp out basically very close, all over Washington and very close to the White House lawn. Hoover overreacts and literally sends in military to use tear gas, machine guns, and then it escalates and the camp is basically burned down. The people who kind of stayed and witnessed and kind of rebelled against Hoover, they were accused of being communist, anti-patriotic. And again, the major effect of this is going to make Hoover even less popular than he already was. Some of these, and again, especially looking at the stuff now, don't necessarily have to write the slide down. A lot of people kind of went to entertainment, okay? So think about it. We have Netflix, Hulu, Audible, whatever you want to do, okay, to entertain you, distract you, TikTok, whatever. It takes your mind off of what's going on now with the coronavirus. We have some form of entertainment. Same thing in the Great Depression. So they kind of turned to the radio. Again, remember that's the main technology at the time. You heard comedies, soap operas were kind of read over the radio. Movies really came out in this time period. Snow White came out in this time period. The Wizard of Oz. And again, it really reflects this time period. Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck was written about life during the Great Depression. And we're going to talk about these Okies. They were from Oklahoma, escaping the Dust Bowl, which we're getting ready to talk about. And basically how unfair everybody treated them as they went through. Okay, kind of on the upside of Hoover's presidency, he did create what will be nicknamed after him, the Hoover Dam. And what this does, okay, it was a federally funded project. So the federal government is going to pay for this project. And what it did was allow people to basically pick up jobs and work on building the Hoover Dam. So this is kind of a step in the right direction of kind of regaining support for Hoover. And it showed a positive relationship between business and government and providing jobs for people. And what they're doing with that water, when you pent up that water in a dam, when it is released, that provides a source of electricity. Okay, so at the same time, coming back to what we talked about with the Dust Bowl. So remember, farmers are already being hit hard by the Great Depression. And then in the Midwest part of the United States, the Dust Bowl is coming into play. Okay, so it's a major natural disaster at this time period. So again, literally, this could be today. People walking out of their house to go to the grocery store. No, but really, the Dust Bowl, what was happening was the soil, it was a drought was taking place, so the soil was really dry and it was becoming very loose. Okay, so loose soil combined with these massive windstorms create these huge, almost avalanche like clouds of dust that just take over your house. Some people try to stuff like t shirts into the cracks of the windows and doors from getting it in, but the whole Midwest was basically consumed by this giant dust storm. So crops are destroyed, so farmers are already struggling, and this really just pushes them over the edge. Again, so you kind of see the impact of the Dust Bowl. So the South and the Midwest is going to be buried. No food already impacting us. Homes are being buried. Crops are literally being blown away. And the Dust Bowl is the number one weather crisis. So again, you don't have to write this down, but understand how this is going to impact the South and the Midwest. Okay, so here's some pictures of the impact. See this guy in the left, he's literally trying to stuff the cracks in his windows with cloth to make sure no dust is getting in his house. Bottom left corner, you see the devastating effects of these crops in the fields. You literally can't grow anything with that. It's like going to the beach. It's just sand and loose soil, and it's impossible to grow any crops. So you see the wind literally blowing it. Okay, this house is buried halfway up. You see this avalanche effect like on the last slide. Okay, this tractor is completely buried. Okay, and again, just different pictures kind of going back into that look of what people live like during the Great Depression. Remember, so we talked about farm foreclosures. The only thing I really want you to get out of this, so again, combination with that Dust Bowl and losing their farms, a lot of people had to move to California. There were a lot of fruit farms out west that people were trying to get to. But again, people did not like them coming in because they were also competing for jobs. So they got nicknamed Okies and Arkies, and they had really difficult journey out west, and then again struggled when they did arrive in California as well. Different ways that people tried to make a living outside, like baskets. All right, and then we're going to see a change of pace. Okay, so we're in the election of 1932. Okay, so Hoover is nominated for re-election, but remember, his popularity is at an all-time low at this point. So FDR, so again, Franklin Roosevelt, distant cousin of Teddy Roosevelt. Okay, he's going to win the Democratic election. He wins by a landslide. Okay, so you see Hoover wins only a very few states. This is the first time, remember, we've looked at all those electoral maps. This is the first time that we're going to see the country really be united behind a president. Okay, so FDR is going to kind of offer a change of pace. Okay, so when we look at FDR, a couple key things. So this is going to be important to know. You need to know that his domestic program is going to be known as the New Deal. Okay, he is the opposite of rugged individualism. Okay, he is going to kind of create these programs, and he's going to help the people fight the Great Depression. Okay, what we're first going to look at is the first 100 days. Okay, we see this a lot of times in a presidency. It's when a president is most popular and they can get the most like reform, or they get their most acts passed. Okay, so FDR enters into his presidency, and we're going to see, okay, we're going to look at what's going to be known as his alphabet soup. He just starts pushing out reforms, and he starts pushing out relief to the people. So between Hoover and FDR, we're going to see a huge change of pace. Okay, so like we said, this is going to be revolutionary because the government has never functioned in this way before. So FDR is going to be completely opposite, okay, where Hoover was laissez-faire. FDR is taking the government into kind of the extreme opposite and aiding people directly. So we're going to see kind of his reforms be stacked on multiple levels. But his goal, he had two major goals: create public work programs. The government is going to fund jobs, so a lot of times they were dual purpose. Yes, we're going to create this project to help people get jobs, but then we're also going to benefit the country in some way. So whether it's like building parks, conservation policies like his cousin believed in, anything like that, dual purpose. It has some type of benefit and it's providing the people jobs. Okay? He also believed in deficit spending. Okay? So while under Hoover, money was kind of holding still, FDR believed in the opposite. So deficit spending. So if you're in a deficit, you're lacking money. So right now we're in a lot of debt. There's no money going through. So the government needs to spend more money. The government's got to put money out there to help circulate the economy. Another way that he's going to directly aid and kind of ease people's tension, he has what's called as the fireside chats. Okay. Again, remember, TV wasn't a big thing this time, not widely available to the people. Radio was. So every night, every week, FDR would get on the radio and he would have these fireside chats. So it sounded like the president was sitting in your living room talking directly to you, calming you down. So he just wanted to, reassure them the government is taking action. They're with them. They're there to help. So it helped kind of calm the people down and stop them from panicking. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to get, this is just going to start what we know as the alphabet soup. Okay, and again, this slide can look a little bit overwhelming, but I just need you to know the 3 levels. So we need to know the 3 R's. Okay, so what I want you to write, okay, is this part right here. Okay, so what FDR believed in, 3 levels. He wanted to provide relief. That means immediate things. Okay, food, money to keep your lights on, the basic things that you need to survive. That's relief. What can we do to help people survive today? Okay, recovery. What do we do to pull the people out of Great Depression? Okay, this is more going to be addressing the jobs, putting money back into the economy, stimulating the economy, things like that. Okay, how do we pull the people out of the Great Depression? And then the last level is going to be reform. This is going to be long-term relief. How do we address those causes of the Great Depression and make sure that they never happen again? Okay, so as we move forward, and remember, FDR runs for 4 terms, okay, so he's going to get a lot done. As we look at kind of this alphabet soup, because everything that passes, okay, are these initials, so we call kind of his first and second 100 days alphabet soup. When we look at what he does, okay, keep in mind, is it relief? Is he helping people today? Is it recovery? Is it helping people get out of the Great Depression? Or is it reform? Is it addressing one of the causes that we looked at?